Hi everyone, Steve the Amateur Historian from the heartbeat of Portland. I don't know. I mean, we got the custom house over there, which is gorgeous. But I have an interesting episode here for you of historic murders of Portland. And what's interesting about it is this is the only one I've got listed so far where there's so little information, just a handful of newspaper articles, that I don't know where it happened. I'm only led to believe that it was in downtown somewhere. So, I mean, it could have happened a block from where I am now. I'm kind of leaving the far reaches of Chinatown. I'm not even really in Chinatown. This is more where the Pearl starts, but yeah, I don't know. And that's part of the mystery of it, because this is, as far as I know, an unsolved murder. So for this one, as I said, there's so little information on it, but it's gotta be a murder case. I mean, it's just gotta. But even that is kind of a little left up in the air. And this is the case of a guy named Henry Johnson. And I found a handful of articles on this case. They're all dated only from November 22nd, 1916. So I literally could not find a single article about this case that came other than on that one day. No follow-ups, no resolutions. And the most interesting part is, if that is really where the trail ran cold, if the trail ran cold within 24 hours, then we have no idea what happened to Henry Johnson. With all the newspaper articles coming from one day, I guess the presumption can probably be that whatever kind of crime this was that was perpetrated, it probably happened November 21st, maybe November 22nd. Since all the reports aren't till November 22nd, I'm inclined to think maybe this probably happened sometime on November 21st, maybe the evening of November 21st. But essentially, Henry Johnson was a clerk. I presume living in Portland. He was staying at a hotel. And as it seems, I'm not certain if it was his friend who discovered the quote-unquote crime scene, or if it was maybe somebody who worked at the hotel that discovered it. But as far as the newspapers suggest, Johnson had a roommate, a guy named Wayno. I think it's Wayno Jackals. I mean, how do you forget a name like that? I actually thought, because Henry Johnson was probably a pretty common name back then. So I'm thinking, like, okay, if there's too many articles with Henry Johnsons for me to go through, any article that includes a guy named Wayno Jackals, it's got to be this one guy tied to this one case. Alas, that didn't help me because I didn't find anything aside from November 22nd, but it appears Jackals was the one who discovered the crime scene, and he's the only real potential suspect. He went into police custody, and it seems they talked to him for a while and then let him go, and that's all I've been able to uncover about the event. So there's nothing else to go on. And this Wayno Jackals guy is the only one who you can even say is potentially a suspect. So, essentially, when the crime scene was discovered, there was blood splattered all over the place. There was, I want to say, a bottle of booze sitting on the ground that may or may not have been drank. It was really gross. If I can look at my notes real quick. His blood splattered all over the room. His bed, Henry Johnson's bed, was saturated in blood. It literally soaked through the mattress and was dripping onto the floor beneath it. It was a disgusting crime scene. There was bloody rags found, and what's really interesting, and it seems Wayno Jackals admitted this, is he said that he discovered these bloody rags while he was packing a suitcase. And I'm thinking, okay, this guy wasn't just staying. It says that he was roommates with Henry Johnson. So what's this guy doing packing a suitcase in a room that's covered in blood, like he's ready to split town? And he conjured up this story, and it doesn't seem like this Henry Johnson guy had any enemies. He just seemed like a guy about town. So it seems kind of bizarre that a seemingly unmotivated murder, it doesn't seem like it was robbery related, it doesn't seem like it was retribution, this guy was sleeping with someone's wife, or he stole money from someone, or it just seemed like just a murder that just happened as a fluke. But Wayno Jackals says, as though he's a witness, even though he kind of seemed to try to stray from the case, he said that like a couple of men barged into the room and just started beating the living crap out of Henry Johnson. So I'm thinking, this guy's packing a suitcase to leave. He's got this kind of outlandish story to tell. It was not uncommon back then for people who were friends to suddenly, turn their backs on each other, and one might end up killing. There's plenty of those stories in my series I'm going to be doing about people who were friends, and one ultimately ended up killing the other. So I am suspicious of this Wayno Jackals guy and his story that he tells, that a murder, people just came out of nowhere and came in and just beat the crap out of this guy. And of course he said they took the body with them, because when authorities came to investigate the room, it's all bloody as hell, but there's no body of Henry Johnson. And the attitude was, where's Henry Johnson at? What happened to him? Where'd he go? We're looking for this guy, and we're afraid he's become a subject of homicide. And as far as kind of a last little analysis of Wayno Jackals, because I took some points down, and I'd like to just kind of address them real briefly, just a couple. First of all is the fact that Wayno Jackals, apparently, what made him worried that something happened to his friend was he found these bloody rags on the floor. That's what he said. He said he found bloody rags, and that's what worried him when he noticed his roommate wasn't there. And then authorities show up, and there's blood all over the place, but all you saw were the bloody rags. And I had to pause briefly because apparently we have some hooligans out and about that don't know how to use I guess they're outdoors, an indoor voice outdoors. Next point, why was he packing his bags like he was going somewhere in a rush? And then beyond that, if you're packing your bags and you're ready to escape, you're ready to leave town, why even call the authorities at all? It's bizarre. Third, later, Jackals tells the police that Johnson was attacked by two men, and yet it doesn't seem he led with that. Again, he goes to the police and says, he found some bloody rags, I'm worried about what happened to my friend. And then a little later on, he comes out and says, oh yeah, I saw these guys come in and rough him up. I'm like, well then, why not lead with that? Why wouldn't that be your biggest concern at that time? It's a GoPro. It's a GoPro. It's like a little camera. Maybe I shouldn't be in such a sketchy area trying to finish a video. This really is my fault that I can't get this video done. But anyway, that is another point. Why not lead with the, oh, I saw people beating the hell out of Henry Johnson. Give him a description. And then, hey, those are probably the people you want to go after. It seems like that was an afterthought. Like, oh, well, this is considering the possibility that Wayno Jackals is the guilty party. He, feigns innocence. Oh, I showed up and found some rags and a bloody whatever. And oh, I'm concerned. But then if you're the guilty party and you don't, and you give people some idea that someone was killed and it wasn't you, that's a lot less effective than saying, oh, I actually saw the other men that did it. Now you've fully vindicated it was somebody else who wasn't me. So it seems like he thought about that later on, maybe, and suddenly was like, oh, just telling them I found rags isn't really getting me off the hook. I gotta tell them that there was other people I saw. And then my fourth point, if Jackals knew of this attack, then why didn't he know better where Johnson was going? You know, he says he doesn't know where the guy went, but then he supposedly sees him getting taken away. And why'd the guy wait so long? You know, that suggests guilt. Why did you wait so long to address this issue? You know, if these guys beat up your friend and take him and they're gone, you go to the authorities right then and there. And this guy waited a while before doing that. Like, he had to get himself straightened out. And then finally, number 5, what were the circumstances and details of the attack? And that's not really so much a criticism of Wayno Jackals as much as it's like, there just wasn't much information given. Like, just, oh, some guys came in and started roughing him up, and that was, it seemed kind of the, like, beginning and the end of it, you know? So, the police let this guy go pretty quick, and it seems like he wasn't bothered much after that. So, I do wonder if he might have been the guilty party, you know?